The Michigan High School Athletic Association and Pass Sports present the Boys Basketball Finals. MHSAA on Pass is presented by Farm Bureau Insurance, proud sponsor of the MHSAA Scholar Athlete Award. By True Value Hardware, promoting good sportsmanship through the Good Sports Are Winners program. And by Tombstone Pizza.
From the Breslin Student Events Center in East Lansing, the Michigan High School Athletic Association presents the Class C championship game in the 1996 boys basketball tournament between the Rangers of Manton High School and the Eagles of Detroit St. Martin dePorres. Hi again, everyone. Rick Berkey alongside at the Breslin Arena. Already one champion crown. Tri-Unity Christian from Wyoming won the Class D championship. Now the second half of our double dip in the afternoon as Detroit St. Martin dePorres takes on Manton. And don't forget, we've got two more full games to come after this one is over. Later on at 4 o'clock today, Southfield Lathrop will take on Saginaw for the Class A matchup. And in the finale at 7:30 tonight in Class B, East Grand Rapids takes on Detroit Country Day. Right now, though, we're going to take a look at the Class C teams, Manton and St. Martin dePorres. Let's go down to the floor to the two folks who will call the action courtside, Mark Crawford and John Spooner.
All right, Rick Berkey, thank you. Welcome courtside. Mark Crawford along with John Spooner. We've got a great Class C matchup coming up for you. Manton and dePorres. A ball game that, John, really looks like it comes down to boards.
No doubt about that, Mark. You have a team like St. Martin dePorres. They're averaging 41 rebounds a game for the season, 15 offensive rebounds during the tournament. Manton is not a bad team either. 31 rebounds during the season, but last night in the semifinals, they had 41 rebounds on Thursday afternoon. So they're a team that can certainly do that on the boards.
Let's take a look at a couple of key players in this one. We start with Manton at a sophomore.
Unbelievable. Ryan Hiller, his favorite class, Mark, is math, and his numbers on the court certainly show it. He's averaging 23 points a game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He had 36 points against McBain in the regional finals. He has over 1,000 points as a sophomore. This young man is an outstanding player. And oh, by the way, Mark, his mother's the math teacher, so math better be his favorite class.
Yeah, I guess so. Other side of the floor, the big guy for dePorres, Tymon Marshall.
Well, Tymon Marshall is only one of 2 seniors on the St. Martin dePorres team. He averages 16 points during the regular season, but in the playoffs, he's increased that to 22 points a game. He's one of the 3 players that will be big time on the boards, a front line for this team that averages 6 feet 5 inches.
All right, Rick Berkey, going to be a great ball game, with super athletes and a real sense of history that we'll talk about as the afternoon wears on. Thank you.
We look forward to that one, Mark and John, and we hope our fans across the state are ready to look forward to that one as well. So stay with us. We'll be back with the starting lineups in just a moment. One of your network sponsors is True Value Hardware.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Michigan State University welcomes you to the Breslin Student Events Center for this afternoon's final game in the 1996 Michigan High School Athletic Association Class C Boys Basketball Tournament. The educational value of this event is more important than its outcome. Respect for others, including opponents and officials, is one of those values. There are no excuses for taunting and trash talk. Remember, good sports are winners. And now, let's meet the starting lineup for today's game between the Rangers of Manton and the Eagles of Detroit St. Martin dePorres. For Manton, at forward, 6'2" sophomore, number 5, Ryan Hiller. For St. Martin dePorres, at forward, 6'5" sophomore, number 32, Tymon Johnson. For Manton at the other forward, 6'3" junior, 41, Phil Helsel. For the Eagles at forward, 6'4" senior, 54, Tymon Marshall. At center for Manton, 6'9" senior, 44, Wes Umlor. For Detroit St. Mountain dePorres at center, 6'5" sophomore, 40, Clifford Radcliffe. Manton at guard, 5'9" junior, number 20, Matthew Hicks. For dePorres at guard, 5'10" junior, number 12, Jason Small. The other guard for Manton, 6'1" sophomore, 34, Chet Brown. And for the Eagles at guard, 5'10" junior, number 14, Kevin Glenn. Head coach of the Rangers is Rene Lafreniere. Head coach of the Eagles is Derek Owens. Your officials for today's game, Bart Wajenki is the referee, umpires Tim Miller and Art Zisk. The alternate is Brett Wajenski.
All right, there are your officials for this Class C state championship game, and a good crew as all of them are here, just as the teams that reach Breslin are. Ball clubs that have earned the right to be here. Officials go through a similar grading process and earn their opportunity to work a state championship game. Mark Crawford, along with John Spooner, glad you're with us. Class C state championship game, a day full of state championships being settled here on Pass. Folks got a look a moment ago, John, at a gentleman who has to be feeling some real history in his bones on the Manton sideline. Bob Cunningham, an assistant coach with the Manton Rangers this year, who played and scored the winning basket in Manton's only state championship appearance before this 50 years ago in 1946.
And usually at this time of year, Mark, he's down south where it's warm, but he knew this Manton team would have a great run in the playoffs, so he decided, I'm going to stay here and help him and show him what it's like to win a state championship.
Rangers of Manton have the basketball to get things started. The sophomore Hiller fires it up and misses, but an offensive board. Couple opportunities for Manton. They can't cash in, and dePorres with a rebound. Slicing to the hoop, and Jason Small draws first blood.
Well, Jason Small comes in averaging 14 points a game, 3 assists. He's one of the 2 floor leaders on the court for Martin dePorres. And the one thing Manton has to be careful about is foot speed of the guards for dePorres.
Here come the Eagles again, out front 2-0, and make it 4 as Tymon Marshall, the 6'4" senior, has the pair. Marshall's been on fire during the playoffs, averaging 22 points and 9 rebounds a game.
And this is the type of up-tempo game that dePorres likes to play, and Manton needs to slow the ball down and get a deliberate half-court type offense.
5-second call against Manton, and right now the Rangers need a timeout. Rene Lafreniere, the head coach for the Manton Rangers, says we better talk things over. dePorres 4, Manton nothing. One of your network sponsors is Farm Bureau Insurance. Mark Crawford, John Spooner back with you from the Breslin Arena in East Lansing. They're your road to the finals. Manton knocks off Ishpeming and Hopkins and did it in a big way, John.
Yeah, they did. This team, Manton, comes in averaging 21 points, a margin of victory per victory in the tournament, Mark, and that's really a critical point.
And folks saw dePorres road, and the story much the same.
dePorres comes in 22-point margin of victory. Something has to give here in this state finals. Neither team is going to beat the other by 20 points or more, so it depends on which team is able to establish the tempo. dePorres likes to run. Manton wants to keep it slowed down.
Well, right now we're playing dePorres tempo. The Eagles out front 4-0 early. We've only played about 1 minute and 20 seconds. dePorres' second opportunity, but they dribble the basketball on the end line, give it back to the Rangers of Manton.
Good defense by the big guy inside, Wes Umlor. He's really a key for this Manton team. If he can stay out of foul trouble and control the inside on defense and not allow dePorres to crash the boards offensively, Manton has a good chance in this game.
Umlor is coming off his only double-double of his career in the semifinal. 13 points, 12 rebounds. Got a foul inside on dePorres.
You saw Ryan Hiller able to post up inside. Does such a great job with the ball. He's a kid that, look at him as he gets good post-up position. And you see coming down Tymon Marshall reaching in, the official right with a call. But that's a good job by Manton attacking the basket, drawing the defense in. That will allow some outside shooting for him.
Rangers throw it away, trying that skip pass cross court. Goes by everybody and out of bounds. There's
nice shot
Derek Owens.
Yeah, Derek Owens, a great story. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. He preaches defense, boxing out, don't turn the ball over, and make free throws. Those are the keys of his to the game. And so far in this playoff run, dePorres has done that excellently.
Triple try by the Eagles, and Kevin Glenn, the point guard, drills it. 7-0. dePorres out front.
Kevin Glenn's a threat, 45% shooter from the three-point range. You cannot leave him open. dePorres will hurt you inside. We haven't talked a lot about the outside game, but they'll knock it down if you give him the opening.
You know, it's early, but we're getting to the point where we're having some critical possessions here by Manton, as the Rangers really need to get on the boards.
Well, that was a critical possession because that might be Tymon Marshall's second personal foul. And if it is, that is a very critical thing for dePorres.
Second team foul.
Nice baseline move inside. Good head and shoulder pump fake. Dish off to Umlor. Umlor strong with the ball, not putting it down on the floor like so many young players do, and drew the foul.
And Marshall will sit down, and checking into the ball game, Aloysius Anafonye, the 6'5" freshman from Nigeria.
Yeah, and Manton thinks, boy, great, we got Tymon Marshall out of the game, and they bring a 6'5" kid off the bench.
dePorres is getting taller, not shorter.
Wes Umlor, 51% from the free throw line. He's really not known for his scoring, Mark, but he had 13 points in the semifinals and 12 rebounds, his first double-double of his career.
Drops both free throws. Manton's on the board. dePorres 7-2.
1-3-1 zone defense by Manton, trying to trap the corners.
And it works. Well, they can't convert the layup. Good scrapping job by Manton underneath. No call, and dePorres comes away with the basketball. Kevin Glenn, the point guard, gets it in the corner to Jason Small, and the 5'10" junior drops a tray. It's 10-2 dePorres. I was starting to say Kevin Glenn, the point guard, played all 32 minutes in the semifinal. They don't want him off the floor.
And Kevin Glenn is also the quarterback on the state championship team for Martin dePorres as well. So not only is he a critical factor scoring, but he runs the floor.
Oh, what a great move. Manton's Chet Brown scoops it up and in.
Chet Brown, he is the toughest kid on this floor, and I say kid for good reason. He also is only a sophomore for Manton, comes in averaging about 17 points a game during the playoffs.
8 of the 10 starters in this Class C final, underclassmen.
There you saw a great rebound. That is the big key for Manton, Mark. They have got to keep dePorres off the offensive glass. dePorres averages 15 offensive rebounds during the playoffs, and Manton must box out and be physical.
Hiller hangs in the air and hits it from 20. Back within 4 come the Manton Rangers at 10-6.
Well, a lot of folks in Manton think that Ryan Hiller remind them a lot of a great player also from there, Matt Stuck. And Ryan Hiller actually even cuts his hair like Matt.
Offensive board by St. Martin dePorres, but stripped away by the Rangers' Chet Brown. And Chet Brown hit the scoop last time, that time a 360, and tries to scoop it up, does draw the foul.
Chet Brown is a fiery type. He gets this team motivated. Look at his face. Determination, concentration. He goes hard to the basket, focuses on the rim, and he gets the foul. Anafonye with his first personal foul. If Manton can continue to attack the basket, Mark, and draw the defensive pressure and create some foul problems for dePorres, they've got a good chance. That's good strategy. The only problem is they got to hit the free throws. Chet comes in 74%, third leading three-point shooter on the team.
3:40 still to play in our first quarter from the Breslin Arena. Glad you're with us on Pass. Class C state championship game. Detroit St. Martin dePorres 10. The Rangers of Manton 7. Triple try. Off the iron, offensive board by dePorres, can't convert. And great athletic play by Matt Hicks, who saved it from going out of bounds. And we've got another foul on dePorres.
That'll be the 4th team foul on dePorres. I believe that'll be on Kevin Glenn. A little bit too aggressive on the inbound pass. You see a full court pressure. It's not very intense though, Mark. They'll drop back, just token, maybe to get Manton to think about some things. They'll go man-to-man defense, and this is where they'll get intense when it gets into the lane. Great assist by Ryan Hiller. He is such an unselfish player. He could score 35 points a game, but he really determines himself to give the other players around him an opportunity to score, and he does such a great job drawing the defense, and that time, a nice dish inside.
Last 2:44, Manton on a 7-0 run. Back within 1, and that ends the run as Tymon Johnson, the athletic move right side, banks it in. And dePorres out by 3, now up 12-9. Could tie things in and out. Offensive board. Helsel can't make it go, and dePorres comes away.
Well, even though Helsel didn't get the ball to drop, he did get the offensive rebound. dePorres not doing a very good job boxing out.
On the game right now, St. Martin dePorres 9 rebounds. The Manton Rangers 7, so they're hanging in.
And more importantly, they've kept dePorres to only 2 offensive boards so far in this quarter.
The triple ties us up. Chet Brown, a 42% shooter from beyond the arc, has the 3, and we're tied at 12.
He's the team leader in three-point shooting. He has 48 for the season.
dePorres fires an air ball. Helsel is there to grab the rebound, and the Rangers can take the lead. Pass by Ryan Hiller.
Ryan Hiller to Chet Brown. Manton people have seen that all year long. Those 2 guys, Mark, combined for 50% of their team's entire offense.
Brown has 8 in the ball game, and Manton with their first lead at 14-12. Knocked away by Umlor.
That's no surprise. Umlor averages 4 blocks a game, and more importantly, Mark, he is staying out of foul trouble. No fouls. That's very key for Manton. They have got to keep Umlor in this game in the middle.
Manton by 2 with a minute to play first quarter.
You saw that stat, Manton on a 12-2 run, something that dePorres is not used to. They haven't seen this very often.
That one may have been partially blocked, and the rebound by Brown, and he's hammered.
Chet Brown again. This guy is everywhere. Just kind of sneaks in, and you see the dePorres players just standing around, nobody finding anybody to box out. Hiller, not a very good shot. It hardly even hits the rim, but it is a backboard. Nobody boxing out Chet Brown, and he comes up with the opportunity to go to the free throw line.
Tell you what, dePorres getting themselves in foul trouble. Already 1 player sitting with 2. Aloysius Anafonye just picked up his 2nd.
Well, you've got Marshall on the bench with 2 and Aloysius Anafonye with 2. And that's something that Manton's strategy is producing for them here in the first quarter. They're attacking the basket. It's key for them as they attack the basket to continue to concentrate on putting the ball in the hole, not necessarily drawing the foul, but they're drawing the foul. Chet Brown going to the free throw line.
Anafonye will sit down, checking in for dePorres. They get bigger again. Aaron Brown, the 6'7" junior.
If you're Manton, you got to think, when is this height going to stop? Oh, great job by Phil Helsel. Did not quit on the ball. This is a young kid that's the unknown factor on this Manton team. Doesn't get a whole lot of prestige. He's only a 6'3" junior averaging 8 points, but he's a real key factor for this Manton team.
45 ticks remaining in our first quarter, and the Manton Rangers out front by 3 are going to be content to take the last shot.
And you got the 2 sophomores out in the back court, both of them handling the ball. You got to look for one or the other to take this last second shot.
Story in this first quarter, big early lead by dePorres. Manton on a 13-2 run in the second half of the quarter. And now we got 15 seconds left first quarter. Time for Manton to make their move. Basketball in the hands of the sophomore Ryan Hiller. Shot doesn't go, and the horn signals the end of quarter number 1. Manton by 3. This is the MHSAA on pass.
Between quarters of the Class C championship game, you see Manton, after a very wisely used timeout, on top by 3. Joined now by Kevin Kelly, Vice President of Marketing for Farm Bureau Insurance, a longtime sponsor of the MHSAA, to talk about the Scholar Athlete Program. Kevin, at halftime today, 24 Scholar Athletes will be awarded. A terrific program.
There really is a great program. Working with the Michigan High School Athletic Association and all these schools and kids, it's just a super thing to be a part of.
It combines the great balance of athletics and academics as well.
We have over 2,500 kids in 400 schools that participate in this every year, and these kids really do work hard on the academics and the athletics, and they get involved in the communities as well.
Kevin, why is this so important for Farm Bureau to get involved with?
Well, Farm Bureau was started by farmers throughout the state of Michigan, supporting families and kids, and these kids really are our future.
Well, thanks for joining us, Kevin, and now let's go down to the floor, Mark and Greg.
All right, thank you, Rick Berkey, Mark Crawford, John Spooner. Glad to be with you.
I wish I was Greg Kelser. I can afford those nice suits he's got.
You're almost as tall as Greg Kelser, I'll tell you. Great program that they were talking about there, and we'll see and hear a little more about that at the half of this one. 15-12, Manton out front of St. Martin dePorres by 3. Now make it 1 as the little runner by Tymon Marshall goes down. 15-14 our score. 4 points for Marshall.
Rick mentioned about that timeout at the beginning of the game, and a great timeout by Lafreniere, the coach of Manton. Settled the team down, said, let's don't get into this type of transition game. Let's attack the basket. Let's get back to our game plan. And so far in the first quarter, they've done that.
Rangers work it baseline. We've got a foul. And the fouls are piling up.
You know, when you've got a very aggressive rebounding team, Mark, and a shot blocking team like dePorres, that's an intelligent thing to do. Watch the play fake right here. Pump fake up and down, draws the defense, and then has the wisdom to go back up to it. Phil Helsel shooting 62% from the free throw line. But that's what you've got to do with a team that's very aggressive and wants to block the shot. Get the pump fake going, getting them up in the air, and then be able to draw the shooting foul.
40, Clifford Radcliffe.
Of course, if you're going to do that, you got to hit the free throws.
Into the ball game, Clifford Radcliffe for dePorres. Aaron Brown will sit down. Helsel misses them both. Offensive board is up and in for Hiller.
Ryan Hiller averaging 6 rebounds a game, and I'll tell you, Manton is playing their style of ball, and so far, dePorres has not gotten into this game.
Got a foul underneath. This one will go against Manton as dePorres busted up the Ranger pressure, found themselves a 2-on-1, and the Rangers commit the foul.
Not a bad foul, even though it was on Wes Umlor. He goes over. He's got to protect the middle. It's a second personal foul, excuse me. He cannot let them get the easy layup, and he went over strong and picked up the foul. It does send a message to dePorres. We are going to defend our basket. You're not going to get anything easy. The unfortunate thing is Umlor picks up his second personal foul.
Yeah, Wes Umlor is going to have to be careful. Lafreniere, the head coach from Manton, not showing any sign that Wes Umlor is coming out with 2 personals. 7:05 still to play first half. Manton 17, Detroit St. Martin dePorres 14.
Andre DeWalt on the free throw line. Young man was called up from the JV earlier for just playoffs, but he's been averaging 7 points during the playoffs. Done an outstanding job for this St. Martin dePorres team. Not only that, Mark, but he's got a 3.2 grade point average.
A lot of young men in this ball game have super GPAs in the notes we got from coaches.
Well,
good to see that.
Derek Owens, the coach for dePorres, believes that basketball is a game that teaches kids for life, and he's very concerned about their academics, and the team GPA certainly shows that.
Manton works the offense against man-to-man defense from the Eagles of dePorres. Rangers Hiller has it knocked away, gets it back. Great dump pass to Umlor, and he's fouled by Andre DeWalt.
You can see the advantage that Hiller has. Everybody knows what an offensive threat he is, so when he takes the ball into the lane, the defense collapses on him. A nice dish inside to Umlor, who gets open.
And now DeWalt with 2 fouls.
So you've got both teams struggling a little bit in foul problems. DePorres certainly with more fouls, as they have 17 fouls. Again, you see Umlor going up strong. Doesn't bring the ball down underneath, as so many big guys do, but he kept it high over his head, and that's what drew the foul.
Umlor has 3 in this ball game, all from the charity stripe. Chance to make it 4 and to give his club a 4-point lead. Boy, there's another offensive board by Hiller and 2.
Well, we've talked about the offensive rebounding of DePorres, but so far in this half, it's been Manton with the offensive rebounds.
Hiller has half dozen, and Manton's out front 20-15. Answering for St. Martin DePorres is Tymon Johnson, the 6'5" sophomore.
And Wes Umlor very fortunate he didn't pick up a 3rd personal foul on that drive.
There's Hiller hanging in the air, getting 2. 8 now for Ryan Hiller.
Chet Brown with the assist. Again, those 2 guys, 50% of the total team's offense.
Triple try will go. Andre DeWalt has the tray, 22-20. Manton by a deuce. On the boards, Manton 11 rebounds, DePorres 10.
And more importantly for DePorres, only 2 offensive rebounds. For Manton, 5.
Rangers couldn't keep it in play. Again, that skip pass going a little too high.
Well, they tried to get it over the defense, over to Matthew Hicks. Matthew Hicks can shoot the outside shot. The ball a little bit too high.
And DePorres can tie with a 2, take the lead with a tray. You saw Rene Lafreniere there, the Ranger head coach. And we're all tied.
Andre DeWalt coming up with the offensive board, the 3rd offensive rebound this half. Manton a little bit flat-footed, nobody boxing out. You cannot box out or try to get the rebound vertically. You've got to box out and get the rebound horizontally against a team like DePorres. You can't jump with them, so you need to box them out.
Midway through quarter number 2, Manton and DePorres deadlocked at 22. Class C state championship on the line. D title already settled this morning here on Pass, as Wyoming Tri-Unity Christian defeated Maple City Glen Lake 59-53. There's Hiller.
Oh, unbelievable body control, Mark. This is a sophomore that already has over 1,000 points in his career at Manton.
Rangers rebound. Matt Hicks looks at nothing but yellow jerseys and decides to slow it up. Whistle and a foul. Looks like they're pointing at Tymon Johnson.
That may have been Tymon pushing on the back. You saw as Chet Brown was driving to the basket, he inadvertently kind of got pushed, and Tymon Johnson picks up the foul. Nice pass inside. It looked like he lost it, but the foul occurs right here as Tymon Johnson kind of shoves him with the body. It was after the ball was already in play, so the only reason he's going to the free throw line is because he's shooting a bonus one-on-one.
And now Tymon Johnson has 2. Everybody on that DePorres team must have about 2 fouls at this stage.
Well, the interesting thing for DePorres is who will pick up their 3rd personal foul first. And what will Derek Owens, the coach, do about it?
Manton, as you said, needs to cash in from the charity stripe. They are just 5 of 11 now in the game from the free throw line. A couple of those front side of 1-and-1s.
And another offensive putback, Andre DeWalt, kid that was brought up just for the playoffs.
DeWalt has 8 now off the bench. That's a triple. Four-on-one for DePorres. And they'll cash in. Tymon Johnson gives DePorres a lead of 2.
Within the last 2 minutes, the tempo certainly has changed in favor of DePorres. The run-and-gun type game is what they want to play. Manton's falling into that trap.
Yeah, they're finding open floor space now. You're absolutely right.
You get a timeout here, Mark.
And right there, Rene Lafreniere says we can't keep doing this. 3:22 left in the first half. DePorres 28, Manton 24. One of your network sponsors is Tombstone Pizza. 3:22 still to play in the first half. DePorres out front by 4 as they find transition time.
Well, this is DePorres type basketball. You see 4 Manton players not getting back, and Andre DeWalt taking the ball strong to the hole. Andre, a kid that was brought up just for the playoffs, but he has certainly proven that he is worth it for Derek Owens. Manton getting back a little bit late on defense. Lafreniere, the coach for Manton, has called the timeout, a wise timeout to try to settle things down.
And the Rangers will run the offense. Ripple deep in the corner is short. Briefly, an offensive board again for Hiller, lost control. And again in transition, DePorres.
Well, the official right on top of the call there. I think it was Jason Small tried to dump it off to Tymon Marshall. Tymon Marshall didn't even touch the ball. Jason grabbed it again and tried to go up with a layup. A little trickiness, but the officials, you know, when you have 3 officials in the game, you're never going to get away with something like that.
Well, coaches always talk about spacing on the floor, and that's why. You don't want 2 players side by side. Hiller gets Manton back within a couple. 28-26. Hiller with a dozen. Oh, that's an NBA bomb. Hicks comes away. Hiller's reverse is wide. And the board's now beginning to go DePorres' way. 17-12 now on the boards. Only a few moments ago, we were talking about Manton up, 12-11.
Well, Manton has gotten into the transition game with DePorres, and DePorres, that is their style of game. Manton's taking some inadvertent shots. That last 3-point attempt by Matthew Hicks probably was not the shot that Coach Lafreniere wanted them to take. They want to work the ball inside. Manton getting a little bit tired, Mark, so it depends on what they're able to do.
Hiller's 3 doesn't go. They wrestle for the rebound, then it's DePorres.
Just say it depends on what they're able to do, working the ball inside.
Great job by Lutke filling the passing lane. Gets it ahead to Brown for the 2. We're tied at 28. Boy, there's a rainbow tossed up by Jason Small.
Yeah, and he had to shoot it over Wes Umlor. Umlor, 6'9" senior center for Manton, and Small only 5'10".
Hiller's short pull-up jumper is off the front side of the iron. And DePorres, little double dribble. And again, court spacing is heading up the floor. Andre DeWalt was running side by side with a player, tried to bounce it to the player who didn't take it.
Yeah, well, the player he's running side by side with was Kevin Glenn. Kevin Glenn's the one they want to have the ball, not Andre DeWalt. He's not the one to bring the ball up court. They got to kick it out. But you saw that time with the defensive rebound. DePorres will turn and look immediately up court to try to get the transition game going. Manton's got to be careful. They've got to be able to get back on defense and not allow that to happen.
Mark Crawford, John Spooner, glad to be with you from Breslin. 30-28 DePorres. And we got a foul, no bucket, but DePorres is going to shoot a couple. You talked in pregame, John, about Brown and Hiller and how important they are to the Manton offense. About 50% of the team offense, 23 of 28 points in this game.
Yeah, great behind-the-back pass by Tymon Johnson. And Tymon Marshall certainly wanted that. You see it again. The defense for Manton late getting back. The foul there by Hiller. And Tymon Marshall goes to the free throw line to shoot 2. But yeah, you bring that point up about Brown and Hiller, Mark. Normally they average 50% of their team's offense, but they have 23 of the 28 points for Manton here in the first half so far. And both of them are only sophomores.
Marshall's free throw has 5 now.
DePorres, a very good free throw shooting team at 76% for the season. You see Chet Brown coming back into the game. One of the dynamic duo sophomores for Manton. A fiery player. He's the spark plug on this team. He's the player that doesn't allow Manton to get too far down or behind in the game. He'll do something energy-wise to get this team pumped back up. Full court pressure now by DePorres.
Just over a minute to play first half, and Manton throws it away.
It's the right idea, but the wrong type of pass. A lob-type pass would have been much better. Ryan Hiller would have had a better chance to handle the ball. Instead, it was a baseball-type pass. You can't do that from half court. Most of the time, you'll throw it out of bounds.
5th turnover against Manton. They've done a pretty good job in this ball game of protecting the basketball. A whistle and a travel.
Well, Tymon Marshall, he's not the one that's supposed to be outside. He can hit the 3, but he's a player that dePorres would rather see inside. Manton defense changing and forcing him from the outside to try to think about driving, and when he did that, he shuffled his feet and got called for the travel. Now you'll see a lot of patience by Manton. They'll try to work for the inside shot. There it is, the unsung hero, Phil Helsel, and give Wes Umlor the big assist.
Well, I'll tell you what, give Umlor a lot of credit. He had the chance to take the 12 or 15-footer and had the presence of mind to say, no, that's not my shot, I'm not the option, and dished it off. And there his answers.
And there you saw Umlor on defense force some change from dePorres, but the offensive board again for dePorres comes up with a point.
dePorres in transition again. Glenn with the 2. 6-point lead for dePorres.
Now the trap pressure intensifies. First it was token, now it's to force the turnover.
Ryan Hiller just before the horn, and the Rangers of Manton hanging tough.
And Mark, if he would have put that ball down on the floor, he would not have been able to get the shot off. Here's a sophomore kid that without any knowing of the time on the clock, puts it up without putting it on the floor. Great heads-up play by the sophomore, Ryan Hiller.
We've finished a great half of basketball. St. Martin dePorres 36, the Rangers of Manton 32. This is the MHSAA on Pass.
In an up-and-down first half, you see the Eagles of St. Martin dePorres with a 4-point advantage over the Rangers from Manton. East meets West here in this matchup. You know, one of the areas of emphasis for the Michigan High School Athletic Association is educational excellence. Today, 24 of the state's top student athletes are being honored by the MHSAA and Farm Bureau Insurance with $1,000 college scholarships. For the presentation of the 96 Scholar Athlete Awards, let's go to the public address announcer, Eric O. Forseth.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we direct your attention to center court, where Larry Thomas, Executive Vice President of Farm Bureau Insurance, and Jack Roberts, Executive Director of the Michigan High School Athletic Association, will make a special presentation. The Michigan High School Athletic Association Scholar Athlete Award, underwritten by Farm Bureau Insurance. They honor the top student athletes in 24 sports in which the association sponsors a postseason tournament. Each student will receive a $1,000 scholarship to be used at the institution of higher learning of their choice. More information about the Scholar Athlete Award may be found in your special center section of your souvenir program. And now we present the Scholar Athlete Award class of 1996. Audrey Jelinek, Claire, girls basketball.
Congratulations.
Amy Vassie, Grosse Pointe South, girls cross country. Ryan Friedland, Portage Central, football. Christopher Keeler, Livonia Churchill, boys golf. Tom Panoff, Flint Central, boys soccer. Kristen Hughes, Grand Blanc, girls swimming and diving. Noelle Adam, Niles Brandywine, girls tennis. Christopher Alexander, Midland Dow, boys basketball. Stacy Frucci, Ovid Elsie, girls competitive cheer. Christina Blass, Ann Arbor Pioneer, girls gymnastics. Tim Sanders, Marysville, ice hockey. Matt Douglas Coy, Okemos, boys skiing. Tim Neiman, St. Clair, boys swimming and diving. Ricky Clement, Hale, girls volleyball. Aaron Kobernick, Berkeley, wrestling. Kevin Soneman, Traverse City, baseball. Kelly Ann Belgrave, Hastings, girls golf. Gina Marie Garza, Wayland Union, girls soccer. Stacy Vesky, Bath, softball. Jeff Anderson, Portland, boys tennis. Andrew Glendy, Saginaw, Michigan, Lutheran Seminary, boys track and field. Kathryn Hemker, Battle Creek, Harper Creek, girls track and field. Unable to attend today's ceremony, Benjamin Joseph Hasse, Kingsford, boys cross country, and Kathryn Ann McCurdy, Cadillac, girls skiing. Let's have a big round of applause for the Scholar Athlete Award class of 1996.
$24 deserving recipients of the $1,000 scholarship they'll each take onto their college careers, and we certainly congratulate all of them. We should remind folks, if they're interested in possibly pursuing it, students that would like to get a chance at winning a Scholar Athlete Award next year, contact your high school principal. And again, our thanks to Farm Bureau Insurance, the sponsor of this most worthwhile event. We're at halftime of the Class C championship game. In case you missed it earlier today, Tri-Unity Christian in the Class D championship game defeated Glen Lake from Maple City by a score of 59-53. Here at halftime, Detroit St. Martin dePorres leads by 4 points over Manton, and we still got later today at 4 o'clock the Class A championship game between Southfield, Lathrop, and Saginaw, plus the B finale at 7:30, Detroit Country Day in East Grand Rapids. Stay with us. This is the MHSAA on Pass. At halftime, the Class C championship game, Detroit St. Martin dePorres on top by 4 over Manton. A very exciting first half. Bill Brandell again with us. And Bill, I want to go back to that first quarter. A lot of coaches wouldn't have called that timeout so early, but it allowed the players from Manton to regroup, and it turned out to be a key one.
Well, it was a key one, as Manton really started out a little shaky. They just didn't have their thoughts all together and their heads into the game, and that quick timeout allowed them to regroup before the game got out of hand right there at the first minutes of the first quarter.
Interesting, one of the key plays for dePorres off the bench, Andre DeWalt. Normally they don't get a lot of points from him, but he certainly was a factor.
Well, Andre DeWalt comes off the bench, as you said, gets 10 points, and he's not a big scorer for the Eagles. Quick foul trouble for Tymon Marshall, and that's the reason that DeWalt got into the game. Marshall, usually the big gun and one of the leaders for the Eagles, he's over on the bench, sat out a lot of that first half. So Andre DeWalt, just exactly what the Eagles needed, some bench strength and some scoring off the bench.
And Ryan Hiller has not disappointed us. We'd heard about the sophomore, and he's all we've heard about.
Well, we've got 2 young teams here, and I guess young teams are the name of the game today, as Ryan Hiller, the sophomore, 14 big points for the Rangers so far.
Well, with a first half look at the numbers, let's go down courtside, and our good... Now we're going to take a break right now. We'll be back with more as you're watching the MHSAA on Pass.
Mark Crawford, John Spooner, glad to be with you from Breslin Arena. You see our halftime score. DePorres out front by 4. And John, here are your halftime stats.
Well, obviously, we've talked about both teams in the rebounding, and you look at DePorres, 22 rebounds, and Manton only 12. And Mark, those 22 rebounds, we talked earlier that Manton actually was out rebounding DePorres 12-11. And all of a sudden, DePorres just comes up in a little mini run there in the second quarter and just blows them out.
So many things happen when you get the boards. You're allowed to run, you're allowed to press, and the shooting percentages go up. They're the scoring leaders.
Well, no surprise, Ryan Hiller with 14 points. The surprise is DeWalt with 10 points for DePorres. The other thing, too, Manton, Mark, all 5 of their starters played 14 minutes or more. They only had one person come in off the bench. So you got to look for Manton. If they don't get anybody off the bench, how tired will these guys get here in the second half?
First blood in the second half, drawn by the Eagles of Detroit St. Martin DePorres. 38-32 is their lead. 5 on the floor for Manton. Hiller, Helsel, Umlor, Hicks, and Brown. Johnson, Marshall, Radcliffe, Small, and Glenn starting the second half for DePorres.
And again, you see Ryan Hiller so intelligent with the ball for a sophomore. He drew the defense and just dished it off very nicely inside.
Helsel has half dozen now, the recipient of the pass. Within 4 comes Manton, and they break with the basketball. They're 3 on 2.
And leave it to Chet Brown to come up with a defensive board.
There's an offensive rebound by Helsel, but can't convert. And DePorres the other way.
This is the type of game that favors St. Martin DePorres. It's not so important for them, Mark, to establish their tempo. They'll play at whatever tempo you give them. They've scored 103 points in their first district game, and then they can win slow at 59 points in the semifinals and the quarters.
Great steal by Tymon Marshall, but he stepped on the sideline as he started up the floor. We're just underway, second half. St. Martin DePorres 40, the Manton Rangers 34.
You know, with Manton not going to their bench as much, they do not want to get into a run and gun game. These guys will get very tired in the fourth quarter. You got to think they want to be a little bit more deliberate for the ball, 2 or 3, 4 passes, and try to get somebody open inside for the good look at the bucket.
Rangers try and dump it into Hiller, but it's Brown who comes up with it. Now finds Hiller, misses the shot. Partially blocked by DePorres, out of bounds. Give it to Manton.
Well, they'll give it to Manton, but you credit Chet Brown. His aggressiveness forced DePorres to make that ball go out of bounds and not able to come up with a possession.
Rangers of Manton, the champions out of the Northwest Conference. DePorres, co-champs from the Catholic AA League. We got bodies on the floor as the Rangers take it down the paint. And DePorres in transition again. And Anafonye hits the jump hook.
Well, they can get Anafonye more involved in this game, Mark, and that's going to be a real key for DePorres. Take some of the pressure off Tymon Marshall.
8-point lead for DePorres. Their largest, I believe, of the game. I remember a 7-point lead early on. Hiller, the tray is off the mark. And here come the Eagles again.
Again, that's the second offensive board. I think Derek Hill stepped out of bounds. Sorry, right. Tymon Johnson. He stepped out of bounds, but Manton, again, giving up the offensive boards. We talked about the principle of rebounding, and you see Coach Lafreniere telling the guys that very same thing. You've got to box out. That means horizontal, Mark. You got to get your player, your body into the player. Don't let him get over you. If you go vertical, you'll not be able to out-rebound DePorres.
Larry Cernick, who's working with us courtside here, handling stats, says this is indeed DePorres' largest lead of the game at 42-34. Manton has the basketball under their own hoop.
See a little bit of the offensive strategy for Manton. Try to attack the ball inside and try to get some fouls on the DePorres team. Ryan
Hiller, the 2.
There's nothing wrong with transition. possession if you have major numbers, but still I think Manton wants to slow it down a little bit, Mark, and keep this score down in the low 60s. Otherwise, you're going to get awfully tired in the fourth quarter.
Hiller has 16 now on the game. Nice block by Manton. And on the dePorres opportunity going to the hoop, I think Umlor has just picked up number 3.
Well, Wes Umlor a little bit out of position. He wasn't too happy with that call. He thought he had position, but watch him here. He'll move down to the baseline, and Small going in strong, and you see Umlor going up with a body. Had he stayed down and not moved, he would not have picked up that foul. Kevin Small, intelligent, just taking it inside strong. Excuse me, that's Jason Small.
8 points now for Jason Small, the 5'10 junior. Another one of those guys with the great GPA, 3.2 grade point average at dePorres.
Well, dePorres is a very disciplined team. They're extremely relentless on the boards. They will take whatever you give them. It's not very important to them to establish the tempo. They'll play at your tempo, and they'll just continue to go hard at the boards. And Manton has got to do a better job boxing out of defense and getting a better shot offensively.
dePorres now running the double team out top, leading by 8. Hiller has it batted away. In transition again, Tymon Johnson.
And you see fatigue setting in just a little bit. Manton not getting back on defense as well as they did in the first half.
And Brown's triple off the mark. Couple of follow-up opportunities, and Hiller is fouled.
Great use of the body by Ryan Hiller. Only 6 feet 2 inches. He's going up against the big people inside. You can see Hiller. Look at him establish position. He backs up his player, actually uses his arm to knock him out. And the foul will be on Tymon Johnson, his 3rd personal foul. Hiller going to the free throw line to shoot 2. The best free throw shooter on the team at 78%.
Johnson will sit down, and Andre DeWalt, the 6'2 junior, will check back in. And DeWalt had 10 in the first half. Ryan Hiller will shoot free throws. "17 points now for Ryan Hiller.
Should be no surprise. He averages 23 points a game. The district playoffs against Kingsley, he had 31 points. He had 27 against Boyne City. This young man can score 37 points against McBain in the regionals. But Manton cannot rely on him alone. They've got to have some other people come up.
dePorres got the good look at the basket, didn't score, and Manton comes down with a chance to cut into an 8-point dePorres lead.
And Umlor's lucky he didn't get his 4th personal foul in that drive.
Triple rims out by Hicks.
Got to get back on defense, though.
Umlor managed the block, say the officials. No contact, but dePorres keeps the basketball.
Boy, with Manton doing some pressure in the backcourt, they were fortunate they didn't come away with an easy bucket for dePorres.
Yeah, that's the one problem with triple teaming the rebounder, huh?
Yeah.
dePorres wants the timeout. Derek Owens will talk with his club. Well, following this game at 2:30, it's girls volleyball action as we present the Class C title match in the 1996 MHSAA Lower Peninsula Tournament between Hanover, Horton, and Montague. Then at 4, the boys basketball finals continue with the Class A title game between Southfield, Lathrop, and Saginaw. Did you see that Saginaw semifinal yesterday? Down by 18 in the 4th quarter, and they win.
I'll tell you, unbelievable explosiveness offensively. And they only had 24 points in the first half alone, Mark, and they almost tripled that, ending up with a final score, I believe, of about 93 points in that semifinal. Unbelievable offensive display. Should be a tremendous final today against Southfield Lathrop.
Rebounding story in this one right now. dePorres 30 boards, Manton 17, and going along with that, if you look at front court scoring right now, dePorres down low has cashed in for 30 points, Manton 9.
And I think that's a real key statistic. Manton is not going to be able to come back into this game by just simply allowing the guards to shoot outside. They have got to get something going inside. Phil Helsel, Wes Umlor, not really known for their offensive ability, but they've got to be able to get the ball as the guards penetrate and get the easy bucket inside, or Manton could be in trouble here going into the end of the third quarter.
We want to be sure at some point to give you a look at the Manton bench and show you Bob Cunningham, the assistant coach for the Rangers, who 50 years ago scored the winning basket for Manton in that school's only state championship. The Eagles of DePorres have a rich history of their own, 4 state titles. There's Bob Cunningham right there.
Usually winners in Florida, but thought his team had a good shot at the state finals and wanted to give him his experience, and there he is on the bench.
Imagine the emotions he must be going through thinking about 50 years ago and scoring the winning basket in Manton's only state title.
Well, that time it was great defense by Umlor. He stayed on the ground, kept his hands straight up, and he forced the turnover from DePorres.
DePorres 46, Manton 38. Manton with the basketball.
A little bit more deliberate on offense now. You see some screens down low. They're trying to get somebody open with this man-to-man defense of DePorres.
Rangers will fire the tray, doesn't go, and DePorres will run. DeWalt is fouled.
A little bit of a frustration foul by Matt Hicks. Took the outside jumper down the other end a little bit short. Again, Andre DeWalt called up for the playoffs. See the foul right there. Strong foul. If you're going to foul, make sure he doesn't get the points. And after that, good sign of sportsmanship by Matt Hicks. Helped him up and told Andre DeWalt, hey, I didn't really mean that. I just wanted to make sure he didn't get the bucket off.
First foul on Hicks. Nobody in any real serious foul trouble here. Umlor has 3 for Manton. Johnson has 3 for DePorres. With 2:15 still to play in our third quarter from the Breslin Arena.
Andre DeWalt, what a story. He only averages 7 points, and all that's during the playoffs.
Has 11 in this ball game off the bench. The lead is 9 for DePorres.
Full court pressure, and this pressure, Mark, will be very intense.
And the Manton players stepped over the line.
Well, what happened is he actually moved. And remember, the only time you can move on the baseline is after the basket is made. He forgot that they missed the free throw, and he tried to move to get it open. The pressure forced that turnover.
You're right. Oh, great move to the bucket by Marshall.
Well, he saw he had the baseline. Classic fault on the defense to not give up the baseline. Umlor didn't want to pick up the foul.
Kevin Glenn now with the intercept.
And DeWalt, there he is again. I tell you, Coach Derek Owens got to feel awfully proud bringing that kid in off the bench. Foul there by Jason Small. But the defensive pressure now has intensified. And Manton, it's very critical. They had in the first half 13 turnovers. They need to knock that down, and they've got to be able to handle the ball here. You see the foul occurred. It's only the second team foul for DePorres. But Manton has got to be able to figure out a way to handle this full court pressure.
Well, they almost turn it over right there as Steven Adams now in for DePorres got a hand on the basketball. He thought he knocked it off a Manton player. Not so, say the officials, and the Rangers keep possession.
Gotta look up court.
Boy, there are bodies flying everywhere, and Manton has a lid on the bucket, can't score.
Well, they had a great opportunity. Phil Helsel just simply couldn't get the basket to go, but they really needed that type of transition basket.
DePorres starting to put some nails in the coffin here as DeWalt has 16 points. Hiller answers with the tray for Manton.
Well, everybody knew about Hiller, but not everybody knew about Andre DeWalt, who hit that last three-pointer for DePorres. An unlikely person to carry that hammer, Mark, to put that nail in.
54-41, DePorres by 13, final minute of quarter number 3. Board belongs to Hiller. It's knocked away now. Everybody on the floor. We got a rugby scrum in there. Hiller's trying to call a timeout.
He said, I've watched enough NBA to know what's happening.
Says, I got the ball and I called timeout. The officials had the jump ball a little sooner.
Coach Lafreniere, you see him there, very intense coach, and here the shot goes up and a real scramble for the boards. But again, Manton, here you see the fight. What happened is Phil Helsel didn't realize that Ryan Hiller had the ball, and it could have been called for a traveling turnover violation.
The alternate possession gives the basketball to dePorres under their own basket. With 40 seconds left here in this third, and the Eagles at least holding up the single finger like maybe they're going to wait and take one shot.
Well, they like doing this. They'll spread it out. They'll try to get somebody to get open, either going down the lane. If not, they'll kick it back outside for the open shot. Look for Andre DeWalt to somehow get his hands on the ball, because he's been the hot man here in the second and third quarter.
We used to call this a 90. You don't take any shot unless it's a 90% shot.
Well, when my coach coached me, he would always tell me, you don't take any shot unless it's 100. Wide open in the lane, nobody within 10 feet. John, take the shot. Kevin Glenn with the ball right now, all-state quarterback for the dePorres Class CC state championship. He is the key general. Haven't heard much from him here in this game, but he's the very stable, steady player. Look for him to key some kind of offensive move here at the end of the third quarter.
Well, he's got the basketball with 10 seconds left. Horn sounds, no damage done. dePorres 54. Manton 41. One of your network sponsors is Tombstone Pizza.
In practically the blink of an eye, dePorres jumps out from an 8 to a 16-point lead. Bill Brandell, it's down to 13 at the quarter, but a cold streak by Manton combined by, again, that continued strength on the boards for dePorres.
Well, dePorres really working well down low. They've got over 30 points from their people down there on the front line, Rick. That's where they're really hurting the Rangers.
dePorres then spread the offense near the end of the quarter, but I like the way that they didn't just try to hold the ball. Once they saw an opening, they attacked with 2-on-1 or 3-on-1, and I think that'll be the key for them in this fourth quarter.
Well, obviously that should be their strategy. They have a nice lead now. No reason to get careless with the ball and take foolish shots. So I look for some controlled offense also.
What does Manton have to do to get back in it?
Well, obviously Manton's got to be able to score. They had some missed opportunities there in the third quarter. A couple of times they had 3 chances to make a bucket. At one time they had a 4-on-1 situation. Didn't convert on any of those. So it's not as though they're not getting the shots, but they just simply have to get things to drop.
Well, let's go down to the floor, and for the fourth quarter, Mark Crawford and a guy I can never forget, John Spooner.
All right, Rick Berkey, and good to see the old coach Bill Brandell with you.
You know, Bill's point is very well taken about the ability of Manton not converting on those easy baskets. But remember, Manton is only playing 5 players. They did not substitute anybody in the third quarter. Fatigue setting in a little bit for them in the third quarter.
Well, Chet Brown going to be the go-to guy. Says, I'm going in the lane and trying to get us started here in the fourth. He's fouled and will step to the line. It's 54-41, dePorres by 13.
Well, Chet Brown, you look at the intensity on his face. If there was one player on this team that's going to bring them back, it's going to be Chet Brown. He is the key fiery type player. He sparks this team. You got to look for him both offensively. More importantly, Mark, I think defensively, you might see Manton try to do some kind of pressure, whether it's token or not, but somehow in the next 2 minutes of this quarter, they have got to get back into this game.
I think you're right. Chet Brown had 11 in the first half. Those 2 free throws, his first points of half number 2.
There's the pressure from Manton that we talked about. Very important for dePorres not to rush it, but to make sure they get good looks. That's a great look. You can throw the ball over the top of the defensive pressure and get a 2-on-1 opportunity. Take it every time.
Hiller and Brown playing a little 2-man game. That's a tough triple. Good offensive board, though, and Hicks the 2.
Well, dePorres just standing around, and Hicks just snuck in there. 5'9" junior.
5-second call. dePorres didn't get it inbounds.
And look at Ken. You can see Kevin Glenn in the middle of the court. Number 14 was holding his hands up saying, I'm wide open. Why didn't they get me the ball?
Manton's Rangers get it to Hiller. He's fouled at the hoop. He'll shoot 2. And a chance to get the Rangers down back within double digits here.
Here's a planned inbound play to Ryan Hiller. You see him take the ball strong to the hole, concentrating on the basket, not worrying about whether he gets fouled or not. So many players go up, Mark, and they think, I got to draw the foul, and they don't finish the play. Ryan Hiller's not one of those players. 78% free throw shooter, leads the team in scoring, leads the team in virtually almost every category. Already over 1,000 points in his career at Manton and only a sophomore.
Well, he's at his average today, has 22, and his club back within 10. Foul will be called on Chet Brown, his first.
Not a bad team foul. That's the third team foul. You know, Manton's got to think about toward the end of the game, if they're still behind, they want to foul and get dePorres into a bonus situation. So that's not a bad foul at all.
Well, you mentioned early in the ball game, though, going to be pretty tough as dePorres as a team, 76% from the free throw line. So you won't get rich fouling Detroit St. Martin dePorres. Down low, that's Aloysius with the 2.
And you won't make too many deposits in the bank if you keep giving up the baseline inside like Manton is doing here in the second half. You just cannot allow dePorres to go inside like that.
Tymon Johnson will pick up the personal.
That might be his 4th personal foul, Mark.
It is. See Hicks trying to work across the free throw line, and Johnson just cut him off.
Well, you saw also that dePorres is collapsing in the middle, and what they're basically saying to Manton is, if you're going to come back in this game and beat us, you're going to have to hit the outside shot. They're shutting down the middle, doing a good job in the interior defense, forcing Manton to take some inadvertent outside shots.
Rangers work the offense, trailing by a dozen. 6:35 to play. Hiller, the 3, is wide off the mark. Ball knocked off Umlor's hands and out of bounds. This telecast is a copyrighted production of the Michigan High School Athletic Association and Pass Sports. No reproduction of the pictures or accounts of this game may take place without the express written consent of the MHSAA and Pass Sports. dePorres beating the press, getting it in the hands of Kevin Glenn in the middle of the floor. And the Rangers now trying to turn up the defensive pressure as well. That one kicked off the foot of Andre DeWalt.
Kevin Glenn doing a good job breaking down the defense of Manton. They're trying to double team him, but he seems to get it to the open man. Credit dePorres for getting in the right spots on the floor at the right time until that.
I tell you what, John Spooner, I am not a big fan of 6 minutes left in the ball game getting out of your offense this way.
Well, that's exactly right, Mark, and I think that Coach Derek Owens is going to call a timeout here, and maybe that's exactly the point he's going to make to his team.
12-point dePorres lead. This is the MHSAA on Pass. At the Breslin Arena Class C State Championship. On the line, UC St. Martin dePorres up by a dozen.
Coach Derek Owens prides himself, Mark, on discipline. He preaches and teaches to his team, you must be disciplined. And I know he called that timeout because they were being a little bit undisciplined with what they wanted to do offensively. He wanted to settle them down, remind them of their team goals, what they needed to do to be more deliberate on offense.
Rangers with the basketball, down by a dozen. 5:50 still to play. Hiller fades away, and it's short off the iron.
Yeah, and the sign of a player getting a little bit tired, Mark, is when the outside jumper falls short. Remember, Manton is basically playing with 5 players. Kevin Lutke comes off the bench, but he doesn't get much playing time.
dePorres gets the ball inside. Marshall is fouled, and that'll be number 4 on Wes Umlor.
We commented on Wes's defense in the third quarter where he stood his ground. Watch this time on the replay. You will see that he goes up in the air and literally brings his hands down into the player. Nice job by Tymon Johnson to create that foul opportunity. Tymon Marshall going to the free throw line to shoot 2. Again, you see Wes coming down over the top. Had he stayed on the floor, kept his hands high over his head, he would not have picked up that foul.
Marshall has 15 in the ball game to go with a dozen rebounds, and this guy has really been a story for dePorres throughout the playoffs.
Well, he sure has, Mark. He's averaging 22 points a game and 10 rebounds a game for dePorres. And remember, in the first half, he had to sit the bench a lot because he was in foul trouble. So this young man, Tymon Marshall, is coming on very strong here and staying out of foul trouble.
14-point lead for dePorres. Hiller inside, can't get it to fall. Rebound belongs to Marshall. dePorres gets it baseline, but what do we have, the travel down low?
Well, Jason Small probably should have either taken the short pull-up jumper or brought the ball out. Instead, he was a little bit indecisive, didn't know what he wanted to do, and when he did take it to the lane, got called for the travel.
Tries to find Hiller inside, but the gentlemen in gold come away. And dePorres will kick it back out. Jason Small. And dePorres, their largest lead of the game, now 16 at 62-46.
Mark, in a state championship final, when you only play 5 players basically like Manton does, you end up getting real tired. And Manton now is a very tired team.
Cleans up inside. Well, you see it on the trays as the triples are all coming short off the iron.
There's Chet Brown again. We said if Manton has any chance to come back in this, it's got to be Chet Brown. He needs to spark this team, and the best way to do this right now is defensively.
Whistle and a substitution. Tymon Johnson in. Andre DeWalt will sit down for dePorres. The Eagles 4.5 minutes away from the school's 5th state basketball championship.
Manton trying to create a turnover with their pressure, but not doing a very good job at it. Again, another offensive board giving up.
And it's dePorres that comes away with the basketball.
You know, Mark, when you blow teams out by 20 points, it's awfully hard to know how to play a team with defensive pressure. And Manton is not used to having to apply the pressure because they've not been behind very many times this year. Only 2 losses, one to McBain, 60-56, and Okanama with 80-54. I mean, you know, if you're not used to being behind and having to apply pressure like Manton, they're not going to be able to do it very successfully here in this half.
Onekama, got to help you with those Upper Peninsula schools.
Oh, yes.
You were in Okinawa there.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Japan, so maybe that came into it, you know.
dePorres with the basketball. They lead by 14 midway through quarter number 4. And, of course, Manton now just risking all over the floor. We got a whistle.
And I'll tell you, they have a major case for our defensive goaltending because Wes Umlor, picking up his 5th personal foul, also got his hand in the net and disturbed the basket, but the official is not calling it defensive goaltending. But more importantly, that's Wes Umlor's 5th personal foul.
You know, I heard the thud and I didn't know what it was, but Umlor got his hand in the net, and he is a big enough, heavy enough guy as he pulled down and then let go. The whole thing just kind of shook, rattled, and banged.
Well, most players go up and grab the rim. That time, Wes Umlor went up and grabbed the bottom of the net. I am surprised. I thought maybe it could have been a defensive goaltending call, but the ball was not in the cylinder area, and the official determined that it had nothing to do with the shot. Therefore, the correct call. Tymon Johnson going to the free throw line.
And Johnson in double figures if he can make this one. Doesn't get it. Gets the ball back, though. Boy, a couple of times, and he's in double figures with 11. Took him a couple extra shots to get there, but 17-point lead now for dePorres. Hiller's triple is off the iron. He has the board and his foul.
Well, Hiller knew as soon as he shot that ball that it was short. An intelligent player like he is, he followed his shot up. It's so hard to teach players. You look at Derek Owens, still very intense on the bench. Not satisfied at all with a 17-point lead, but Ryan Hiller knew that was short. He comes running in, following his shot, comes up with it strong, actually goes over the back of Matt Hicks. And Tymon Johnson picking up his 5th personal foul, Mark.
So both clubs have lost someone to fouls now. Umlor out for Manton, Johnson out for dePorres. Brown inside, has 3 gold jerseys around him, goes up and he's fouled.
And that foul's on Tymon Marshall. That's on Marshall. That should be his 4th personal foul. You see inside, strong rebound by Chet Brown. Maybe he got that rebound, Mark, because there's only 4 dePorres players on the court. The officials actually started the game without allowing somebody to come in. Chet Brown, a tough young guy going inside, only a sophomore, might have turned his ankle on that play. You see him holding his right ankle a little bit there.
Well, our officials have conferred at center court, talked things over, and now are over talking with the scoring table.
You know, Manton might have wished that dePorres would have started with 4 and maybe played 5-on-4 in this game. Officials still discussing what's going on, and Derek Owens not too upset, demonstrating some disciplined cool, just trying to find out what the deal is. When can I get my man into the game? As Andre DeWalt waits to get in.
We talked early about the sense of history around this game and the 50-year anniversary of Manton's state championship. Derek Owens, the head coach at dePorres, played for a state championship himself. In fact, 1976 was on dePorres' Class D state championship club. So we've got some state title experience on both benches.
Well, he played for Coach Ed Rachel, the coach for dePorres for 27 years. And Derek Owens was an assistant for Ed Rachel for 7 of those years. And he credits Ed Rachel with everything he knows. He said when he first came into coaching, he thought he knew a lot about basketball, but when he started hanging around Ed Rachel, he realized how little he knew, and he credits an awful lot of his success to his mentor, Ed Rachel.
Well, I'm not sure what all the conversation's about, John. You're right, there were only 4 players on the floor, but what the officials are going to do about it, I'm not sure.
Well, what they're doing is what they should do. Make sure they've got the right situation. If it takes a little bit of time, okay, but make sure we're doing the right thing, because this is, after all, a state championship.
Well, they've explained things to both benches and to the players, and Chet Brown will shoot the 2, has them both.
And immediately full court pressure by Manton. Manton, a very scrappy team, down by 15.
They'll go full court man.
But when you're tired, Mark, it's awfully hard to apply full court pressure with any certain amount of success.
Matt Hicks goes to the floor trying to knock the basketball away, picks up his 2nd personal.
You can see the defense of Manton, 5 players, perfect defense. They'll try to trap to the middle, but they're a little bit late getting there. Fatigue setting in, not able to set that trap in the middle of the court quick enough. Matt Hicks picks up his 3rd personal foul. 2nd personal, excuse me.
Kevin Lutke, the 5'10" senior, is in and playing now for the Manton Rangers, so fresh player. Up from the chairs, Glenn misses the front side of a 1-and-1 and gives it back to Manton. Rangers fire the triple, it's wide. Well, as you said, when you're tired, it becomes very difficult, and the triple is not a shot that's easy when your legs aren't there.
No, and it really isn't the strength of Manton either, Mark. They've only hit 78 3-pointers through the whole season, so this is not a real 3-point shooting team.
dePorres right straight to the hoop. And it's Andre DeWalt with 18 now. Hiller will try the 3, boarded by dePorres. And here comes DeWalt again. And a foul going to be called on Lutke from Manton with 2:50 to play.
Nice sportsmanship. Lutke knew he hammered DeWalt pretty hard, and he went over, took his hand, apologized to him. Outstanding show of sportsmanship. Here you see the foul, obviously pretty hard. Only headbutted him. But if the replay would show it, you can see later on, Chad, that Kevin Lutke gets up. Andre DeWalt looking up court. See where his eyes are. He's not looking at the ball. He's looking up court. There's the foul. Pretty hard foul.
dePorres by 17. Down to the floor as he drives into the paint. Chet Brown. And the officials make the traveling call.
Well, Chet Brown trying to create something. Watch, nice crossover dribble, tries to go inside. Just lost. He might have stepped on the foot of Anafonye, but the officials said no, it was a traveling violation.
Brown will reach and pick up the personal foul, and that's about all Manton can do now. 3rd personal on Chet Brown.
Well, Mark, DePorres' coach, Derek Owens, says basketball is a very simple game. There's 4 things. First, you play defense. Second, you box out. Third, you don't turn the ball over. And his fourth, make the free throws. And that's what DePorres is starting to be able to do here, to pull away here in the state championship. And this reflects Derek Owens' philosophy as a coach. Basketball should prepare young people to make good decisions. DePorres, they're not going to glamorize you or do a lot of fancy things on offense, but they will just come at you. They will be stable and inside, and the front line doing an outstanding job in scoring.
How about this? Andre DeWalt now a 20-point game in the Class C final off the bench. Hiller's long triple is off the iron, bounces across the top of the glass backboard and out of bounds.
Well, Manton is going to stay in the full court pressure to try to create the turnover.
Kevin Glenn.
You know, Kevin Glenn's the quarterback for the All-State Double C Championship. He's not usually on the receiving end of a pass like that.
Manton continues to try the trays, going to be short. There to board is Ryan Hiller. Ryan Hiller's played an outstanding game.
Yeah, he has, Mark, but he's also very tired.
You see our score, a 19-point lead for DePorres, now 21.
It's been a long time since Manton was in any situation like this. 50 years since the last time they showed up in state finals. Experience a factor.
Boy, inside board, couple opportunities, and finally it's Phil Helsel who will score for Manton. Final score here is really not going to be reflective of the kind of ball game we had.
No, it isn't, but Manton gave up some spurts in the second and third quarter that gave up the offensive boards. Nice block out of bounds.
Anafonye.
And remember, this kid, Anafonye, is only a freshman. Both teams very young, Mark, and I would not be surprised, without being predictive at all, if you don't see both these teams somewhere in the Final Four next year. DePorres only loses 2 seniors, and Manton only loses 2 seniors.
Here's the block by Anafonye again.
Nice extension, high up off the glass. Now it just gets to a 3-point bomb, and hopefully somebody coming up with a rebound for Manton to put the easy 2 back.
Manton has now thrown up 25 triples. They are 2 of 25 from beyond the arc. DePorres 4 of 8 from the game for the game. Final minute 10 of this one. Your Class C state champions will be Detroit St. Martin DePorres. As both clubs now will bring some folks in off the bench and give some young men a chance to see some duty in a state championship game. Eric Hill will check in now, along with Derek Hill for DePorres. I see Steven Adams in the ball game. Alvin Hentz, all for the Eagles. Andrew Siddle has checked in for the Rangers. Lutke is in. Jason Otto, the 6'3" senior from Manton, in the ball game. Among others, everybody getting an opportunity and a chance for the thrill of playing here on this Breslin floor in a state championship game.
Well, what so often happens in a game like this is now a brand new game, 0-0. It's my bench and your bench, and now DePorres is up 2-0.
Got a whistle, play is stopped.
Well, the official scorekeeper is calling one of the officials over to the table, just making sure maybe the fellas checked in a little bit too fast. You saw Derek Owens there with a smile on his face. Joe Falls had a great article in one of the Detroit newspapers talking about Derek, who was a foster child. As he grew up, Mark really had no value or positive experiences. Those that had him in class said he never had a smile on his face, a very disturbed young man. But this guy is a class story in itself. Came out, went strong, went to DePorres High School, played on the 76 state championship team, and he has turned things around in his own life. And I'm sure when you see him again, you will see a smile on his face.
We had an illegal entry into the ball game, and so we have a technical foul. It'll be a bench technical, and Ryan Hiller will shoot 2 for Manton. Somebody substituted in, didn't check in at the scorer's table or something.
Well, one of those things, you're so excited about getting in a state championship final, you just kind of run in off the court and without properly checking in. Besides that, most of the kids aren't used to about 30 different people on press row around the score table. They might have checked in with somebody, might have been John Johnson, who isn't going to do anything with them at the book.
And Ryan Hiller can't convert the free throws, just dead tired.
Well, this Manton team has nothing to be ashamed about. 25-2 on the season coming in here. This game will be a great experience for them as they look forward to the years to come.
Steal by Derek Hill. Wanted the jam, instead gets the lay-in. And the lead for dePorres is 25.
It's 25 for the regular game, but it's 4-0 when you look at the bench. And here's some more Manton players coming in now.
Andrew Swanson, the sophomore, will check in. Jeremiah Shepler, another sophomore. Jason Stewart, a freshman. Chad Digraph, another sophomore.
Mark, this Manton team is so young. They have 6 sophomores, 4 juniors, and 1 freshman on this team, and only 3 seniors.
Shot is blocked by Manton. dePorres hanging on with 15 seconds left to the basketball, leading by 25. Little running hook not going to go. And Manton will get the last opportunity. 5 seconds left in this one. It'll be a triple try off the iron. And the horn sounds. State championship number 5 for the Eagles of Detroit St. Martin dePorres as they defeat Manton 79-54. One of your network sponsors is Farm Bureau Insurance.
And we are back. You see, Detroit St. Martin dePorres has won the Class C championship game. 25-point victory over the Rangers from Manton. And now for the awards presentation, let's go back to the floor. Public address announcer Eric O. Forseth.
Ladies and gentlemen, before the presentation of the championship trophy and medals, let's acknowledge these 2 fine teams for their achievements this year and their play here today. This time we direct your attention to center court, where Brian Callahan, Superintendent, Granville Public Schools, a member of the Michigan High School Athletic Association Representative Council, will make the awards presentation. First, let's honor the runner-up in Class C, the Rangers of Manton. First, we will present the individual medals. Number 3, Jason Stewart. Number 4, Andrew Swanson. #21, Kevin Lutke. #23, John Morrow. #31, Andrew Siddle. #32, Chad Digraph. #35, Jeremiah Shepler. #40, Russ Helsel. Number 50, Jason Otto. Number 5, Ryan Hiller. #20, Matt Hicks. #34, Chet Brown. #41, Phil Hessel. And #44, Wes Umlor. And accepting runner-up trophy in Class C, Coach Rene Lafreniere. Congratulations to the Rangers of Manton. on an outstanding season.
Hey, this is for you. You worked hard to get here. That's for you. Take it. I love every one of you.
And now for the 1996 Michigan High School Athletic Association Class C champions, the Eagles of Detroit St. Martin DePorres. First, the individual medal, number 10, Richard Eugene. '20, Jermaine Gray. '22, Eric Hill. 24, Mark Sturdivant. 30, Alvin Hentz. 34, Andre DeWalt. 42, Derek Hill. 44, Aaron Brown. 50, Zachary Hicks. 52, Aloysius Anafonye. Number 12, Jason Small. 14, Kevin Glenn. 32, Terraman Johnson. 40, Clifford Radcliffe. And 54, Tymon Marshall. And accepting the championship trophy, Coach Derek Owens. Congratulations to the Eagles of Detroit St. Martin DePorres, the 1996 Class C boys basketball champions.
The Eagles have landed with the Class C championship crown, and they're enjoying it as well they should. 2 champions down, still more to come. Stay with us. This is the MHSAA on Pass. After winning the Class CC football crown last November, Detroit St. Martin DePorres adds more hardware to its trophy cases as they win the Class C basketball crown in boys basketball with a 25-point victory over a game, but in the end outmanned and out-rebounded team from Manton up in the northwest part of the state once again. So DePorres wins the championship to join Tri-Unity Christian from Wyoming. 2 champions crowned, still 2 more to come. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, the Class A championship game between Southfield Lathrop and Saginaw. Then tonight at 7:30, we'll wrap things up with the Class B title tilt as East Grand Rapids faces Detroit Country Day. Let's go down to the floor right now as some happy St. Martin DePorres Eagles joining Mark and John.
All right, thank you, Rick, with Coach Derek Owens. And, Coach, we saw in some of the Detroit papers in the last week some comments about Escanaba, and folks up there would know who won the state title, and they know right now.
Yes, sir, they truly do. You know, and I'm just no disrespect to our league. It's a great league in which we play in. It prepares you for the state tournament, do the Catholic League tournament. But guess what? Nobody will know who won the state championship, the city championship, but everybody will know who won the state championship. And Big Bay did not now.
I know you are very, very pleased and proud of this group of young men, as you did a lot of growing this year.
Yes, we did. Growing pains is what I call it. Growing pains. You know, we struggled early. I told the kids, though, we're only playing for marks. I said, let's take all the dress rehearsals we have, learn from our mistakes, and grow, just like life. Learn from your mistakes, don't make the same mistakes twice, and move forward.
Coach, last question. This one for you. You were a player on a state championship team in 1976. You coach one here. Any thoughts about which you like better?
I like this one. because at that point in time in my life, I wasn't really knowing what direction I wanted to go in. Now I do. Maybe I can save one of these kids from making the wrong mistake.
Congratulations, great season. John?
Well, I've got here, Mark, Tymon Marshall and Andre DeWalt. Tymon, 18 points and 15 rebounds, but you got into some foul trouble in the first half. How concerned were you, and what did you know you had to change in the second half?
I wasn't really concerned because I know we got a great bench. Coming off the bench, Aloysius came in. He filled the role where I left off at. Clifford Radcliffe, he stayed on the boards, and TJ hit the boards too. So, I really wasn't concerned. I wish I was out there, but, it really didn't hurt me that much because the team picked it up right where I left off.
Andre, you and Tymon are 2 of 3 seniors on this very young team. 20 points today in the state finals. What does that mean to you? Did you expect it? You come in averaging 7 points a game. Did you think you'd have a big game like this?
Yes, I was very focused for the game. I knew what I had to do. My coach kept stressing to me, play hard and refuse to lose. And that's when I came out and did.
Coach talks to you guys about discipline, but there were times in the third quarter it was undisciplined. He called a timeout. What did he tell you in that timeout about getting back to discipline?
Well, discipline has been the main part of our team this season. So he stressed it a lot coming back into that timeout because we were really lacking off a little bit.
Tymon, as a senior, what does it feel like as a state champion?
Well, it feels great right now because, last year we should have won it, but we had some flaws within the system, and now we struggled this year, but we all came together when the playoffs started, and that's what matters. We united as a family.
Well, congratulations, guys. Great game.
Congratulations, and go join the celebration. Rick, back to you.
All right, a couple champions crowned here at the Breslin, and still more action to come, so don't go anywhere. This is the MHSAA on Pass.